All right, let's just jump right in. For centuries, we've tried to understand life by taking it apart, piece by piece. But what if the biggest secret to life isn't in the pieces themselves, but in how they all talk to each other? Today, we're going to explore a truly revolutionary shift in biology that does exactly that, moving us away from the individual parts to the entire incredible puzzle. So to really get where we're going, we've got to look at where we've been. For decades, the main way we did biology was to grab one gene or one protein or one molecule and just study it intensely, in isolation. And look, don't get me wrong, that method gave us countless breakthroughs. It was hugely successful, but it has its limits. I mean, think about it like this for a second. Could you ever really understand the life, the energy, the culture of a massive, bustling city just by analyzing a single brick from one of its thousands of buildings? No way, right? You know everything there is to know about that one brick, but you know absolutely nothing about the city itself. And that's pretty much the exact problem biology has been running up against. And this really lays out the two different ways of thinking. On one side, you've got that classic reductionist approach. It's all about focusing on the individual parts, the single brick. But on the other side, you have the systems approach, which is all about the whole system, and this is the key part, the interactions between all the parts. It's this huge shift from thinking about what things are to what things do together. Okay, so how do we actually start seeing the whole city instead of just that one lonely brick? Well, that is where this powerful new perspective comes into play. So let's properly introduce the solution here. It's called systems biology.
So what exactly is systems biology? Put simply, it's the study of life as one big, integrated whole. It's not that the individual parts don't matter. Of course they do. They absolutely do. But the focus shifts to the relationships and the interactions that actually bring those parts to life.
And this whole idea is built on a few really cool principles. First up is holism, this idea that the whole is somehow greater than just the sum of its parts. Then you have interconnectivity, which is just recognizing that in a living system, nothing, and I mean nothing, truly acts alone. And finally, my personal favorite, emergent properties. This is where incredible, complex behaviors, like, say, consciousness or the perfect rhythm of a heartbeat, just emerge from countless simple interactions between individual cells. None of them planned it, The behavior just appears out of the system itself. So let's circle back to our city analogy for a second. If studying a single gene is like knowing the name of one single street, then systems biology is like having the entire city map. And not just some static paper map either. No, it's a live map like the ones on your phone, showing all the traffic, all the communication, all the energy flows, all in real time. You finally get to see the whole picture.
Now this all sounds great in theory, but you're probably wondering, how do we actually do it, right? How do you map a biological city? Well, the answer lies in one of the most powerful concepts in modern science, the biological network.
Yeah, at its very core, what systems biology is all about is turning all those invisible relationships into visible maps. It's the science of creating and analyzing these incredibly complex webs, these biological networks, to figure out how the whole system actually works.
So how do you build one? Well, it starts simple. You have a single node. That can be a gene, maybe a protein. Then you find another node it interacts with, and you draw a line, a simple connection. Pretty soon, you start to see these little functional clusters, kind of like neighborhoods, starting to form. And when you map all of those connections across the entire system, you get this beautiful, impossibly complex network. And that, right there, is the blueprint of life.
Okay, this is where it gets really cool. Because what's truly amazing is what we can actually do with these maps. This isn't just some abstract idea. Let's take a look at how systems biology is helping us tackle some of the biggest, most complicated problems we face. Just look at how it completely changes the game in medicine. For a complex disease like cancer, the old question was always, which single gene is broken? But the new systems question is, which network of genes has gone haywire, allowing this uncontrolled growth to happen? Same for diabetes. We go from asking which single protein isn't working to how is the entire metabolic network being disrupted? See the difference? It's a total game changer.
And as you can imagine, this has a huge impact on developing new medicines. When you understand the whole network, you can find the most powerful places to intervene way more quickly and with much more accuracy. Instead of just searching for one faulty part to fix, you can pinpoint the real linchpins in the cancer network, those master switch proteins that, if you can target them, could shut down the whole disruptive process.
And the applications here are just incredibly broad. We're talking about personalized medicine that is actually truly tailored to your body's unique biological network. But it goes so far beyond that. We're talking engineering microbes to create biofuels, understanding the health of an entire ecosystem, even designing crops that can better withstand climate change. I mean, the possibilities are just staggering.
So, look, if there's one single thing you take away from all of this, let it be this simple but really profound idea. To truly get a handle on life, in all its messy, beautiful complexity, we have to stop looking only at the components and start looking at the connections. The real magic, it turns out, is in the network.
Which kind of leaves us with one final, much bigger thought. We've been applying this way of thinking to biology, right? But what if we applied it somewhere else? To our economies, our social structures, our climate? What other problems that seem totally unsolvable right now could we finally start to crack if we just stopped staring at the individual bricks and finally started mapping the entire city?